Hi, this is Ben from Turn Sounds. Plug in a USB port the opposite way to how you think it should go, and you'll probably still get it wrong. Welcome to Just Keep Walking. This is a podcast focused on the Walking Dead TV show. Today we're here to talk about Season 11, Episode 21, called Outpost 22. And looking forward to getting into it. My name's Ben.
And I'm Isaac.
And I am Liam.
And before we do start talking, if you have any... Oh, my goodness. We did it too smoothly last time. Now we're paying for it. For any questions or suggestions, head to turnsounds.com, or you can find us on social media. Just Keep Walking Podcasts on Instagram or Turn Sounds on Facebook. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you. We're going to keep it, I think, pretty short tonight. We're all... it's getting pretty late. That's all right. Overall thoughts. Would you like to start, Liam?
Yeah, it was alright. It feels like a little bit of a step backwards. It wasn't as entertaining for me.
Yeah.
Maybe the opposite. I like the change of scenery.
Yeah.
The trains, I like trains anyway. Not a whole lot to do at nighttime, it seems, and I'm not a fan of nighttime events anyway, so stuff during the day feels more Walking Dead somehow.
What do you mean by that? As far as like what?
So much of
what about nighttime was notable in this episode?
Not.
You like that there wasn't
Yeah.
nighttime? Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
Things look better in the daytime, and they're walking the road during the daytime. You know.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like with the labor camp, you can still have a dark, moody set, but still in daylight. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it was alright. Yeah.
Overall for me, a bit of both really. Yeah, change of scenery is really nice. That's always good. But yeah, I do agree a little bit of a step back of potentially of like, I don't know. It's probably more or less like things still feel like they're moving forward, but yeah, I would say a lot of these episodes feel like almost half episodes, and if they really had the pacing down packed, I feel like they could get through a lot more, and you'd feel like that was a substantial, like that was a good episode, but it feels like, that was just like a couple of things moved forward, but it's still just moving at a snail's pace each time.
Yeah. I thought that Negan's whole hope potentially sacrifice thing was going to start this episode as well. So
yeah, exactly.
That rings
would
true
have
to
been
what
something.
Yeah.
But still pretty good. It's the sort of thing. I would say most of these latest episodes have been pretty good. I'm enjoying them and stuff like that, but they feel like just some average, like middle of the show. If this was season 6 and you had a few slow episodes, that's fine. But now we're 3 episodes out from the finale.
Yeah.
And it still feels like it's just crawling along. Yeah, but anyways, enough to enjoy. There's really not a whole lot I've got as far as notes, to talk about.
I have a few.
Yeah, good.
Starting with one sleepy guard boy.
Yeah, I liked that.
I did, and I actually have a little something to defend that one.
Okay.
You might see, he's sitting there upright, his head's bobbing all around the place. You might say, surely you'd wake up, with all of that. But my dad actually tells me a story more frequently than I'd like. Back in the day when he was in the Army Reserves, and he reckoned, like, if you're a couple of days into, like, vigorous duty of some kind, doesn't matter what scenario you're in, you're going to sleep because you have to. And apparently, he was on the back of some boat and it was like storming down with rain, and he's still upright, like fell asleep with his... Woke up hours later, so... Yeah, so apparently, if you're tired enough, you'll sleep anywhere.
Okay, so yeah, it's fairly believable.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, the whole... It's cool to see, trains, all that, just the scale of what we're up against, and and interesting that the setup at the end that Alexandria has been turned into Outpost 22, like that's sort of at least a good clear goal of, all right, that's a good finale event, take back Alexandria and live happy ever after, something like, I don't know.
Yeah.
At least the biggest thing that I haven't enjoyed in a lot of season 11 was when, like, this was why I hated the Eugene Detective episode, and the other one that was just in the Commonwealth is feeling like where can they even go from this? It's just all the up next look. It's so boring in a bunch of the episodes. But this is the now getting to the point where it's like, oh, okay, I see where they could go next, and this is starting to, it's moving somewhere interesting. So yeah, that's probably the overall feeling I'm getting at the moment. But I think I'll more enjoy binging this because the week wait and then just having like 2 steps forward in the plot is like, oh, come on, a little bit more would be nice.
And you've said this in the past as well, just about that exact same thing. Like us waiting week at a time, it really feels slow. But I remember like the whole prison arc. What was that?
Yeah, right. Season 4.
See, I remember like
season 3 and 4.
Being like pretty freshly moved out of home and just like binging that entire. And it was, and arguably that might have had some pretty slow episodes if they were on their own as well. But
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Note about the kid walker in this one. Like as he hobbled onto the screen, I pretty much said like, yeah, you don't usually see kid walkers at all.
Yeah.
Except for Sophia. Oof. But
a few others I can name. There's the very opening of the show, which is easy to forget about, is the little girl picking up the teddy bear, which again is a variant walker, so ties into that thing.
Good spot.
And then there's Sam, the little annoying kid. Mom. He sees another kid walker, and that's what tips him over the edge and makes him start crying in the middle of the herd. And then I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan's son more recently had a cameo.
But yeah, he did, didn't he?
I can't remember what context it was in. Yeah.
It was in Alexandria when they were trying to repair the walls.
Yeah, wasn't it some of the other kids who were like bullying Judith and they were like laughing at it or something like that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, true. There you go. But it's funny because after me saying like, it's not funny at all, me saying, oh yeah, you don't see kid walkers, but there's definitely quite a good number of kids out there for you to see them. Yeah. But I think it's a good thing that this show doesn't do that because of pretty much Maggie's scene later on where she has to. It's just you're not stabbing like a rotting monster. It's still like a kid. It very
still
much looks
like a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that it's trying to like claw at her, but it doesn't have the strength because again it's just a kid. So it's very sad. It hits differently when you've got a child as well.
Yeah, interesting.
It's in a weird way. Just quite upsetting, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's some good insight. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's good that you can speak to that at least. Yeah. Oh, for sure. I did think when she was hiding off the side of the road, there was like a pipe right next to her. She could have crawled in. I thought that looks pretty cool. I mean, I don't really have much bad to say, like as far as like, oh, that scene was so bad or whatever. I quite enjoyed the episode overall. It was all just pretty good.
Yeah,
really.
It's still a good episode. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess one other thing that I'm liking at the moment, and this is what I particularly enjoyed last episode as well, with Daryl and Carol going off, and now it's a few of the other main characters sort of joining the crew. It's that to me makes it feel more like classic Walking Dead, where it's those are the main characters and they're off on some adventure or sneaking around doing something to save some people. So that's nice because we've got a lot of the side characters recently. It's nice just to have the key main characters together, all working together, doing something. I'm liking that.
Cool. Yeah. Nice scene that we've got with that dude who's dying from a walker bite, and I like Daryl's line there about like, you're gonna die anyway, like do something good with the last bits of your time and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like anyone else that would have been like, yeah, fine, like I don't owe them anything, like what's me, but still he's stubborn about it. I don't get why. Yeah. But then, so that was a nice opening then for Gabriel, who I was saying that we've missed.
Yeah.
To come in and do his preacher thing.
And actually, that was another note. I was thinking about this recently, was that we haven't had much of Gabriel and Rosita together. You could very easily forget that they're a couple. So that was kind of cool just to see them. Not that it was too much substantial, but just seeing them together and just a
Yeah.
little. Oh yeah, that's a thing.
Are they still together or are they separated? Or?
Yeah,
Seems
no, they're
like it.
together. And he even said our daughter.
Yeah, I
when they're
picked up
talking
on that.
about
Yeah.
Coco.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of cool. And yeah, that whole scene was really good. I like that. That Daryl was just said what what we're all kind of thinking. It's like just try and like reason with him. He's probably just some other guy, just like you.
There's
So-
a boom mic shot that Ben saw.
Yeah, with Gabriel Rosita when they're walking along the road, the camera's kind of bouncing up and down, so it's very understandable to see how it happened. But yeah, if you watch the middle of the frame, a boom mic pops in for a second.
Disappointing.
Yeah, I definitely get it because there was a lot of headroom and it would be really hard to get good audio.
I feel like of all of the sins of production, like
Yeah,
it's one of the lesser ones. And it's
Sure.
like the very, very tip of it. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm with you there.
See, the only thing I can base it off is seeing a boom mic in Lost in Space.
Yeah,
So I look at that and I'm like, wait a second, it's 2022 now. How is this still happening? So that's
Right.
probably why I'm a little bit more critical of it.
yeah. Well, probably along those lines, another thing that was a very obvious just time and budget constraint issue was, and you pointed it out. You're like, what is happening? The motorbike chase.
Yeah.
All the
GoPros
shaky
or
shots.
something, yeah.
Because I can relate to that. I've had a bunch of times where I'm like, oh, it'd be so cool to like strap a camera to this vehicle and then you get a good shot. And then you realize as soon as you turn the engine on and start moving that it's shaking all over the place and there's little vibrations that, unless you have like a shock mount,
Shock mount plus gimbal, right?
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That's not exactly high tech these days, though.
Yeah, but I mean, it's probably the sort of thing, like, it's not high tech, but it does take time to rig it up properly. And I would just dare say that it came down to, like, they just didn't have that much time and they're like, oh, here's a rig, let's mount it on and film it. Oh, that's not really working. Oh, well, we've only got 2 more days to film and we've got 3 other scenes to get through.
It's that, or like the guy gets on his motorbike, he's riding away, and you see Carol take a couple of pot shots at him.
Yeah.
She happens to hit the back wheel, or something, or she happens to hit the exhaust pipe, the fuel reserve underneath.
It's the
or
camera.
something. Yeah. And so the guy, he makes it, but not far enough, and his bike tips over, and then Daryl collects him and still slides his bike or something. Like, you can find a way around it without having to have like.
Oh, so what you're saying is, like, if they had the footage and it wasn't working,
Yeah.
find another way to make the scene work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because that to me is kind of unacceptable footage, like that.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I
And
thought
it
the
pulls
thing
you
was
out of the
buffering.
episode.
Like, yeah.
Because you stop and go, well, this is just filmed on a bad camera and it's shaking all over the place. Yeah. Yeah, actually, that's definitely a good point. Because even you can say whatever you want about the budget and stuff, but if a motorbike chase isn't working, don't have a motorbike chase. And
Yeah.
that was a very easy, like you said, very easy workaround if they wanted to do something else there. Because I really like the idea. Obviously, Daryl's classic thing is his motorbike, and like
Yeah.
that's a cool idea to have a chase. But you just need to put more money and effort into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a few other. I mean, there were just some nice interactions, particularly between Carol and Maggie. Their conversation I thought was quite nice, and thought Maggie's acting was quite good in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
and even good to see Daryl and Connie back together because really that hasn't been a thing at all this season except for one interaction. I'm pretty sure.
Well, one of my notes just there, because he's up on the ridge with Carol, and it shows that Connie is like in their custody or whatever, and he says some line like, "Oh, they got Connie."
Yeah.
And I just thought, you don't have Connie. Yeah.
Yeah. Although I did like for 10 minutes your theory, Liam, that Connie gets, because the guy said, "Oh, I've heard rumors about Area 2 or whatever it's called, and it's somewhere far away." I liked your theory that
Well,
that's
it made sense, yeah.
Yeah, the setup for Daryl's spin-off that Connie gets taken to France and he goes to rescue her. I would like that, but Oh well.
Find another way.
Yeah, why France of all places? Like,
Wow.
Why
just
have
a
they
comic
chosen
thing, is it?
France?
Maybe
Well, I don't
Norman
even
readers just wanted to live in France for a bit. It was like, oh, can we film there?
mm,
All right.
why not?
know. I'd love to hear that conversation pan out, like Daryl's husky or Norman's husky voice. Like, France. I want to go to France.
I'm sick of Georgia.
I like the Eiffel Tower.
I mean, it probably honestly does come down to something like that because it sounds like Georgia is like a pretty hot place to work and there's like bugs and stuff. Like maybe they just want a change of scenery and they figured if people have stuck around this far, they're gonna be all right with France.
Maybe
Who knows?
up for a bit of a harsh reality there, I think.
Yeah, we'll see.
But speaking of Daryl, I did have a note here. Just it was a funny again thought to me. So this guy with a freaking screwdriver stabs himself in the throat because it's better that he kills himself rather than they find out that he helped them, and then his family suffers for it
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, I get that.
But anyway, so it's not a knife, mind you, or a gun or something. It's a screwdriver, and he jams it with enough force up through to kill himself. And I just kind of thought to myself, you just know there was an outtake or something of Daryl being like, that was actually pretty badass or whatever, like killing yourself with a screwdriver.
Screwdriver.
Yeah.
Yeah. And through the neck, just like Lance. as
Yeah.
well.
Like
Wow.
Lance, yeah.
Flavor of the week.
It's a soft part, I guess. What
know.
can you do?
What can you do?
I have a general thing to throw out to the group,
Okay.
just like a silly thing because I think I've got nothing else to say.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll point this to you, Liam. If I said to you zombies, what are they known for typically? What are they?
Brains.
Eating brains.
Yeah.
Have we ever seen that in this show?
No.
No.
Not that I can recall.
No. It's everything but, it seems.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Good thing they're not zombies, I guess.
Yeah, true. Well, that's the caveat. That's, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I did read that on Reddit recently. Someone was saying like, oh, right at the end of the finale, it should be Daryl turning to the camera and saying zombie and then cut to black. I haven't said it the whole show. Yeah.
I
Well-
like that though. Like the reasoning behind that, I think
I
is really cool.
fully agree with it. Yeah.
Or like in the variant thing, one of them finally gets to speak and you get like the actual Milton type of guy who's like, what do you want? He's brains.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't think of any other notes for the episode. Can you guys?
More so just the coming up next.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that because, yeah, it's this episode's 21. We've got 22, 23, 24 is the finale.
That's it, baby. That's a wrap.
The 24th is the finale.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, like, if they're going the same rate they have, that it'll have to be at least half an episode of, like, Negan doing his thing next week, half an episode of Eugene's trial or whatever, half an episode of Aaron and Lydia, Elijah and Jerry going to Oceanside, whatever they're doing, maybe variants. So that's already pretty much 2 episodes worth full, and that doesn't include taking back Alexandria. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how they use the time and what they do with it. And I mean, and you can't just have, like in the finale, it can't just be about taking back Alexandria because you've got to deal with the corruption in
Yeah.
the Commonwealth, like unless you just leave that completely unresolved. And then obviously half of the finale, probably the first half will be the action, the second half will be, tying up loose ends and just character stuff. So yeah. Very little time left.
Imagine it's the 23rd episode. Cut to a shot of like opening thing. Rick in bed, sits up. He does the whole, where have I been this whole time? Whatever the thing is. Or it's been years, so I don't know, however they do it.
Are you, is this the dream version? I just had the strangest dream.
No.
Okay.
This is, that would, No,
That's at the very end of the finale.
23rd episode, actual, like, cut to him.
Yeah.
He's been living with the CRM or
Oh,
whatever.
okay. Current day Rick. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
When you say Rick waking up in the bed, I just think of the first
Understandable.
episode. Okay.
Understandable.
No,
No.
I'm following.
So they dedicate the 23rd and 24th episode actually being like his
Yeah.
return. Maybe collects Michonne along the way, and then that for me would be
Heck yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Well, I mean,
That would win everybody back over. Like,
So you're saying wrap up all these storylines by the end of 23, and it feels like, oh, that's the show over, and then it cuts to Rick, and then the whole 24th episode is just Rick's story.
effectively, but it somehow finds a way to tie back to Alexandria.
Yeah, obviously by the end, yeah.
Because Michonne will be like, that's where Judith and all of that is. So
Yeah, and I mean, well, I haven't heard it. I haven't seen any confirmation recently of an exact runtime, but so far everyone's been saying the finale will be like 2 hours long, or like a what do you call it, feature length. And that, like, I don't think it's going to happen at all.
No.
But that could be interesting with the whole Rick movies that they were talking about. It's pretty much a movie if it's feature length, and then
Yeah, that's true.
and you could have that as like a thing at the end, and that'll tie it all together.
Well, they're doing a show, aren't they?
Yeah, so
Rick and Michonne in a show.
and what better way to like be like,
Kick
and
that off
now
with
there's a
that.
show,
But the thing is, yeah, like they haven't specifically. Everyone assumes the show will be set, after Rick gets taken by the helicopter, and the most predictable thing would be that Rick does show up in the finale and reunites, and then the show is about how he got from A to B, and well, I shouldn't say A to B, but how he got from the helicopter to arriving back at Alexandria, fill in that gap, and Michonne, of course. That's the obvious way, but yeah, I mean, just going with that theory, you could then say the Rick and Michonne show is just following on from this, and it's in the future. Yeah.
From a marketing standpoint, I feel like that's the smart thing to do.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I agree. Get some hype behind it. Because I don't know the numbers, but I can imagine the viewers have drastically dropped,
Yeah.
especially in this season. Like, yes, there's a bit of hype around. It's the last season ever. But let's call a spade a spade. It's a pretty dull season for the most part.
Yeah, it's been a bit of just keep watching for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine that. I'm just that's going with that theory, that tangent. Like, imagine if then the Rick and Michonne show could be like that's the actual finale for The Walking Dead. Is that then you can still have the supporting characters from this show be in it, and you can there you can potentially have some side character deaths and stuff like that. But then that for marketing would really work, because the people who've dropped off the main show, like if they came back in season 11, they'd still be confused because there's so much to catch up on. But you could do it in a way where people don't feel like they have to have caught up to watch Rick and Michonne, because they're like, I'll just see where Rick's story ends, and it can tie in with everything else. So that could be really cool, actually. I hadn't thought about that possibility.
I'm sorry if it doesn't come to fruition.
It's 99% not going to happen, but it would be cool.
Well, it does beg the question, do you guys think that Rick will be in the finale?
I'd like to hope so.
I think so.
You reckon he will?
As far as is it actually going to happen, probably 50-50.
Most likely, I think, is we see like a freshly taped Andrew Lincoln scene from the past, where like flashback in Maggie's head where she has some conversation. It'll be like a sit down and it'll be footage we've never seen before because it was filmed for this episode, but it'll be past Rick, not current. I reckon that's most likely what we're going to see.
Going on that, I reckon what's even more likely is that is the opening scene. It's like, oh, it's Andrew Lincoln, and it's like a flashback, and then at the end he shows up in real life.
All right.
And that's just and it'll be with like some Maggie or some meaningful character who then it reminds you, and then their reunion is more meaningful because it's fresh in your mind. Like, yeah. They did do that with Herschel.
Yeah, I was
At
just
the end
thinking
of
that.
season 4. Yeah.
How
But
did they do that with
yeah. It was they were planting beans or something.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean, like that's the biggest hope I've got is just that like there'll be just something exciting happen with Rick, or just there's got to be some big thing at the end. Because this storyline at the moment, it's interesting enough. It's getting better now that they're out on the road and actually having some conflict that's not just political stuff. So that's a lot more interesting, but it's still not like, oh, I can't wait for the finale. It's going to be so awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I guess one last thing just going along with that is that what we're talking about with there's not much time left. What if if they don't need much time because they're not actually going to resolve it all now, they're going to resolve it in Rick and Michonne show later. So they could resolve a few things and then leave a bit of a setup. And then let's say Rick is who helps them take back Alexandria, and that's in a separate show later.
I don't know if I'd like that.
I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here a bit. What I would compare this to, I said this for episode 9, Star Wars episode 9 as well, is like, I didn't really like that movie, and getting like 3/4 of the way through the movie, I was like, I'm just not engaged in this. And then when Rey like heard the voices of the Jedi, I'm like, at this point, I just want all the Ghost Jedi to come and just fight all the crowd of Darth Sidious. Like, I just want something stupid and crazy to happen because I'm not engaged in this. So I'm almost at that point to an extent.
I was there.
Yeah.
Look behind you. That's when I was there. Like
Yeah.
a couple of episodes ago. Just do something. And
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of possibilities. Not a lot of hope, but
I'm still having a good time. Like,
yeah, definitely.
make no mistake. But
Yeah. And I mean, it seems like, especially now, the way things are going these last 2 episodes, it seems like it could be a good enough ending, and that's better than a bad ending. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
But it could be better.
It could be better, definitely. We'll see. Yeah. Well, definitely let us know your thoughts if you have any theories or anything like that. I guess the only thing in real life that we do have to work from, which doesn't mean anything, so I wouldn't even consider it a spoiler whatsoever, is that Andrew Lincoln was in Atlanta when they were filming the final episode, but he comes and visits the set once in a while anyway, so I would be surprised if he didn't even visit the set for the finale just to say hi to everyone. So.
How did you know that? Was it published or?
I think it was just that like someone saw him at a coffee shop and that was like, it was publicized that it was the last week of filming, and then someone saw him at a coffee shop in Atlanta. So it's something along those lines.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, that makes me sort of think the opposite then.
Yeah.
Given that they were you look back at the whole who did Negan kill cliffhanger, and they were so pedantic around keeping that hush-hush. Like the fact that he's been spotted and that's like a very
they let him go out and have coffee.
Yeah, like that almost makes me feel like, oh, it's too obvious. Yeah, he's not going to be in it now.
Yeah, good point.
I hope that's not the case.
Nah.
They should have brought him in the back of a bus with a bag over his head.
Exactly.
Hessian sack.
Yeah.
But it was the same thing with Mark Hamill in Ireland back in the day when Force Awakens was happening, and they were shooting like Octo stuff, because I think that's Northern Ireland somewhere.
Right.
I think so. But yeah, some dude just saw him pouring beers in an Irish tab and was like, "Yoy."
Yeah. But like I said, he does visit the set once in a while anyway. I think all the actors do, even after they've died on screen. Like so it definitely doesn't confirm or deny anything. So yeah, we'll see. But like you said, it's definitely not. I'm feeling better about the show now than I was in the middle of the season.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm enjoying it enough, and even just going back and rewatching it, and especially just getting sentimental because it's the end. It's like, oh, I'm just going to enjoy it for what it is. Like, yeah, there's no point in getting upset about it not being what it could be. It's like, oh well,
Yeah.
it's just a show at the end of the day.
Good perspective.
Yeah. So yeah, bit of hope, and well, we'll see if Ezekiel can bring us some hope, like Negan was talking about.
Oh, worried.
That's the last point. That was a good conversation. I really enjoyed that scene
Mm.
because it hasn't been talked about much, especially Negan with his wives and stuff like that. Like that was barely mentioned at all afterwards. So yeah, it's good that someone brought that up and just reminded
Yeah.
us of like all those things. That's like, hey man, this wasn't a
Yeah.
gray area. Like, come on, you did all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then talking about how he knows how to inspire people through fear, and Ezekiel knows how to inspire people through hope. Like, yeah, that was
And
I
yes,
like
I
that whole
smile.
scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to leave it there for tonight. We've got a lot to talk about over the next few weeks, and I'm looking forward to it one way or another. So,
So tired I
Yeah.
could sleep on a bouncing bus.
well said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been Ben.
I'm still, well, for the moment, Isaac.
I will always be Liam.
Awesome. Just keep walking.